Samit, Nitin, Carol, thank you so much for coming for this session. And I have always been curious, Nitin, what would be the top 2 or 3 reasons why you decided to join Ujjivan?
So, the biggest reason, of course, to join Ujjivan was Mr. Ghosh himself, and my first meeting with him, which inspired me to, look at our professional life differently. And then during that conversation, I discovered, and of course, afterwards, there was a lot of reading that I did, and Mr. Ghosh also helped me with a lot of content, relevant content that I could go through. But the biggest thing that came out was like Ujjivan is a very purpose-driven organization, and all our people in Ujjivan are extremely passionate and committed about just the purpose for which we, have functioned for all these years as a finance company and even now as a bank. There was absolute clarity in terms of what the bank wants to do as a large retail mass market bank, catering to the aspiring middle class, serving the underserved and the unserved. And that really registered very well with me, and I could see myself associating with that.
And Samit, help us understand that story and the genesis of Ujjivan a little bit better.
Thanks, Prasenjit. Actually, Ujjivan is my second mountain. I'd worked for 30 years as a banker with some great institutions and some not so great institutions. So there were a lot of learnings from that. And then I felt that, as Nitin talked about, that I should really build an organization which is driven by a purpose, and purpose which is sort of close to my heart. That is to provide financial inclusion to the vast numbers of, people in India who are financially excluded. So that was the matter of the heart, but there was also a professional challenge that I would be able to bring in all the experience I had gained over 30 years and use that experience to, successfully launch Ujjivan, especially from the perspective of technology, because there was always, people always said we could not serve the people who are poor because it was not a viable proposition. And I wanted to prove that it could be done in a viable manner. But along with that, when we built Ujjivan, we felt that we should take in all what is the positive things which we have from various organizations and discard the negative. And one of the positive things which I was felt strongly about is that Ujjivan should be serve multiple stakeholders. Not just one stakeholder, which is a shareholder, but multiple stakeholders in which obviously the customer is very important, the employees are very important. The shareholders are obviously very important. The community you work in is very important. The regulators are very important. So that we should be the best for all of them, And having worked so many years in various institutions, a lot of people pay lip service to being a good organization for the people. But they are not. When you come down to the core, you don't find that they're that genuine, So in the sense that we firmly believe that the employees are as important a stakeholder to us as a customer or a shareholder, So that and in your entire policy, culture, everything you build around an organization, then you work on that basis. So that was very important for us. But we had a challenge at that time is that, when we started in 2005, there were a lot of startups, a lot of IT companies, and, very difficult to get hold of good HR people, So we then said why don't we sort of try and benchmark ourselves against the best in the industry, and that's how we sort of got into Great Place to Work. It was more to learn and not to be, we never dreamt that we would be one of the top institutions in a Great Place to Work. It was more to learn from other institutions which were a Great Place to Work. And also, the Great Place to Work has a matrix, it has a discipline. So you actually measure yourself against that discipline. So it's not just a matter of sort of saying that, we will be a great place to work, etc., and culture, etc., which are very important. But the matrix which is there and which you look at it year on year and you monitor yourself on that was also very, very important for us,
And the question that I wanted to ask you, Carol, is that through the last decade or more, microfinance has gone through ups and downs. And we know how difficult things could be. And I remember at least 2 or 3 instances when many organizations were close to probably either closing down or being acquired. What were those challenging moments? And if you look at your 10-year plus journey as a great place to work, were there any turning points where things became very difficult? And what did you do in those turning points? And are there any lessons?
Some of the things that we do as an organization is that we treat our people with respect. We involve our people in all that we do, and we treat them as equals. Now, some of the defining moments where these came into play was first during our microfinance crisis in 2010-11. That was a time where there was a lot of happenings in the industry, and there was a lot of things that was going around about microfinance. But we stayed put. There were clear directions, instructions given to us, and that is what we followed. Those were very simple. First is to take care of our employees, and the simple task that we did there is to ensure that our staff salaries were paid on time. Secondly, we ensured that our repayments to the financial institutions and banks were paid on time. The most important thing that we also did was ensure that our customers would be given loans on a timely basis. And we also ensure that our repayments to landlords and their rentals were also paid. That was one clear thing that we did. The second was a very clear communication right from the top. Mr. Ghosh sent out a personal letter to all employees across the organization, giving them a very clear understanding of the situation that we are in and our roadmap.
But Samit, question that I want to ask you before moving to Nitin, what was the challenge that you were facing in that transition from microfinance company to a full-fledged bank?
The biggest challenge was really that we believed that our customers who are microfinance customers who were not, did not have access to financial services earlier and who were not treated well when they went to a regular bank would continue to be our customers, in the bank itself, and they would be treated just like any other customer. In fact, even better because they have been with us for so many years, So to carry our customers and not create a two-tier kind of banking system where, now we will sort of, since we have become a bank, we'll focus more on the affluent and middle class because that's where the bucks are, and forget all the microfinance customers, and we'll treat them, continue to treat them, but in a somewhat separate manner, So to create a two-tier system, we were dead against that, and that we would treat all our customers the same way, So that's a big challenge, And there was a lot of debate, and branches will get overcrowded, and people won't like it. All kinds of tamasha. And similarly, what Carol said, all our staff who came from, from microfinance, a bulk of them were actually class 10, 12, and suddenly they become bankers, they said, oh my God, we have to sit for an exam and pass an exam to become a banker, etc. We said, no, nothing, we will take you through training. You will have to make an effort to upgrade your, skills, and you are a banker, So that I think that is a tremendous challenge to take that team, and bring them up. And of course, at that same time, we were recruiting a lot of professional bankers because those skills which we didn't have within the organization. And how do you sort of put them together?
The last question very quickly to all three of you. The last 10 years, and for you, Nitin, your career even before Ujjivan, what would be the top 2 or 3 leadership lessons?
So, from my perspective, I think, as I was mentioning, this was my second mountain. And I think it's very important for every individual or every leader to find out what is their calling, what really, what makes their heart, get warm and, fuzzy and, they feel good. So I think to get, to merge your calling with your career at some stage in life is very, very important.
Thank you, Samit. Carol, you would like to summarize your key leadership take?
One of the biggest leadership lessons that I have learned is to have a long-term perspective. That is, there will be a lot of ups and downs that comes along the way, but we should have a very clear understanding of the roadmap, and that also translates into involving people, communicating to people, listening to our employees, and giving them the chance to voice out their opinions so that there is a wholesomeness to it, and we are able to take the organization forward in our journey.
Nitin, the last 50 days have challenged our leadership paradigms and mindsets like nothing before in the 5 decades or so. So, what would be those 1 or 2 leadership learning that you would like to share with us as we end this conversation?
See, I think a time like this can either bring out the best or it can bring out the worst. Okay, we are seeing that happen all across. But staying on course with your what the leader itself is or herself or himself or herself is inspired with, I think that helps. So if the inspiration levels or the reason for the leader to stay inspired change, with the changing context, leadership styles will change. Okay, that should not ever happen. Now, when that is very clear, the next level for any leader is to be able to inspire teams, because leaders can't be seen as either backseat drivers or front seat drivers all the time. Sometimes you're front seat driving, sometimes you're backseat driving, but most of the time you're not even driving yourself. But you need to inspire people to drive on their own. So I am a strong believer in inspirational leadership rather than any other form of leadership.
I think the quality of conversation was just great, as is to be only expected. So Samit, Carol, Nitin, all three of you, thank you so much